See what happens. All right, Darla from Chicago Title. How are you?
Hello, I'm great, Jamie. How are you?
So good. Just a little history because I think that it's really cool that we've known each other for a really long time, way back when I was
Mhm.
a baby Chicago title assistant as a temp. And
Yes.
then I got hired, and that's all part of my ginormous real estate story. So
So
it's
awesome.
great. It's great that we can do business together now in a different capacity. And I feel really lucky to know people for so long who are still in the industry and we could keep going together.
Yes, I love it. It's a great story.
It is. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun.
it's
And we
fun.
have like people in common that we know, but San Diego's like that
Yep, for
for
sure.
sure. So tell us real quick, what's title, what's real estate title, why do you need it and who needs it?
Okay. So title insurance basically is a policy that is purchased when you buy a home and the seller pays for the homeowner policy for the incoming buyer. And that protects the property against anything that's happened in the past. So unlike traditional insurance like car insurance or even homeowner insurance, those types of insurance are protecting you against things that are going to maybe happen in the future, right? Whereas title insurance is protecting you against things that have happened in the past. So, past liens that haven't been cleared, maybe a
It's like a
um,
retroactive insurance, right?
exactly, right. Anything that's happened prior to you coming into ownership is being protected by the title insurance company.
Yeah, you mentioned liens. So, like, let's say somebody records a mechanic's lien against somebody's property because they did a bunch of work and they owe them money, but they put down the wrong APN number or they put down
Mhm.
the wrong address or something. Things like that
Yes.
happen.
So stuff like that, it does happen. You know, people are human. There are errors that happen. And in a case like that, it would just be, somebody coming forward to say, hey, I filed a lien. I didn't get paid. The property sold. I wasn't in line to get, my money. So in that case, it would be a claim that would happen after the fact that the old owners would probably have to settle up if it was, in fact, a lien that was needing to be paid.
Yeah. And then what else is usually a part of your title policy?
So we protect against, like we said, liens, judgments, maybe there are heirs to the property that didn't get uncovered or that weren't notified of a sale. So if they come forward and say, hey, you sold my grandma's home and I was in line to get, some of the inheritance and I wasn't informed. So that would be something that, would be a claim again after the fact that would be settled by the title insurance company.
It sounds like that's happened before. It's
Oh,
in
it
your
does. I mean,
experience. Yeah.
yeah, claims happen all the time. And, on my end, I bring it to the table. We get it closed, and my job is done at that point. I don't get involved in the claim. So if I close a property, maybe of yours, and, 5 years down the line, there's a claim that's involved, I don't know about those. But title companies pay out millions of dollars in claims every year. So it
So
does happen.
in that case, is that the trust didn't get checked enough? The successors weren't checked? How does something like that happen?
Yeah, possibly the maybe the title company didn't have the full trust. Maybe there were some amendments that didn't get disclosed. There's a whole slew of reasons why.
So
And
always important to have your property in a trust and have your trust in order and keep everything updated.
yeah, and keep it and make sure the people who are in line for your trust, like my kids are in my trust, they both know exactly where my trust is. It doesn't do any good to keep those things hidden. It's
Sure.
not a secret. It shouldn't be a secret. And that way, when things happen and the trust needs to be put into place, everybody knows what's going on with it. It doesn't need to be so secret. I don't know what that is. I think it's a generational thing because my parents were very secretive about their finances and stuff. And I'm an open book with my kids. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
here's my stuff. Here's my trust. When you know, this is where you need to come and
Here's
look.
what we do. Yeah, we
Yep.
give each other passwords now and
Yeah.
health directives and everything. But yeah, I think there was a time where you didn't talk about money, you didn't
Mm-mm.
talk about death, you didn't talk
No.
about real life stuff, and we
Yeah.
just shoved it all down.
Which is kind of a bummer because it
Yeah.
just it doesn't lend itself to having that open cohesive relationship and dialogue that's so important, especially with your home. It's the biggest investment that you have, so yeah,
Mhm.
make sure all those things are in place.
And it's such an emotional attachment for so many people, especially through generations. And,
Hmm.
you know, it can bring out the best in some families, but oftentimes it does not bring out the best in
Yeah,
families. So
absolutely.
always important to have that tidied up. So
Hmm.
what is the most wild story or crazy
Mm,
title scenario
gosh.
or that you can think of?
There's been
What,
a lot. I mean, I just I'm shocked. I guess I would say I'm shocked, but I'm really not shocked anymore because I've seen so many things. I've been
sure.
doing title insurance for over 20 years, 20, gosh, almost 25, which is insane. Um, the amount of liens and judgments on a property, I honestly am
Oh
shocked by the amount of items that could be attached. And, it's not uncommon to see something with, 50 items, which means
my
there's
gosh.
a lot going on.
Oh my gosh. So these
Yeah.
could be like judgments from your business on one person and then like on another title holder, but they could also be like
Yep.
mechanics liens on the property. They
Hmm.
could be different loans, second loans, all kinds of things. So
IRS tax liens is a big
tax
one.
liens, I bet.
Child support, people not paying child support, that's a big one.
Sure.
And all of those items have to be cleared before the new buyer comes into ownership. So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
why title works so closely with escrow to get, the statement of information. Let's get that looked at early on,
Oh,
especially if we have a really ugly
absolutely.
one.
I have a
Um,
story for that too,
yeah,
but I didn't want to
okay.
interrupt you.
No, no.
But yeah, it's like you don't want to buy a car that has an open claim on it. It's kind of like that in a
Hmm.
way. If we have an open fender bender, like you don't want to sell a car in the middle of that, I think.
No,
I don't know, it's
no.
kind of the same thing, but not really.
Well, and to that, a lender, if let's say the buyers, has a loan,
Given the
they're
loan.
buying their home with a loan, the lender won't close unless there's a clear and clean title. Now,
Right.
if it's a cash buyer, all the more reason for them to get title insurance
The
because
protection. Yeah.
yeah, because you don't want to buy a home and be, the 20th person in line for ownership. You've got to get
Right.
all those old things cleared up so when the new buyer takes possession, it's their home.
And of course, the lender wants to be number one on that title report
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you had said that the title policy is bought by the seller for the new homeowner, but it's also for the lender as well. There's a lender's policy too.
There's a lender policy. Yeah. So there's typically two policies when a sale is happening. And like you mentioned, the seller pays for the homeowner policy, which protects the new buyer coming in. And the buyer will pay for the lender's policy based on what their loan amount is. And that protects the lender specifically.
Awesome. I'm going to hit the pause button, make sure this is still recording because I want to
Okay.
share my story.
Okay.
And of course, it wasn't.
It wasn't recording?
Well, it probably timed out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I'm going to do it again, but just this part, and that's okay.
Just
Dog.
because there's no space. Is that why?
Yeah, this is my
I wonder if I can record it.
So
Probably
I
not
finally
because.
have, oh no, it's recording on my computer. Yeah,
Oh, okay
we're
then.
recording here, no problem.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
just this on my phone because I need to get a lot of pictures and videos on my laptop, and I just synced that up so that I could
Yeah.
free up space on my phone. So I'm just going to record real quick. This is still going. We can
Okay.
chunk this out,
Okay,
but
cool.
I thought it might be cool. Okay, I could share my craziest title story.
Yeah, let's hear
Okay,
it.
here we go. Okay, so my craziest title story is
Yeah, let's
I
hear it.
was I was working with a couple for quite a while. We had finally got to the point past inspections. We had got an escrow, past inspections. 2 days from closing, I was frozen. 2 days from closing, a judgment for $200,000 shows up against the seller. The seller was mortified. Everybody was mortified.
200,000?
$200,000.
And what they just didn't know, they had no
So
idea.
apparently, the seller was business partners with multiple people in Los
Mm,
Angeles shopping center. And the
okay.
story goes, and I tend to believe them, but the story goes, they didn't know about it and they were mortified,
Oh my
especially,
God.
yeah, yeah.
That's a
So
big bill to have to pay out of proceeds.
it's huge. So what happened? We didn't close on that property. There
You
was
did
no
not.
way. We gave
Yeah.
them a little bit of time, and my mom is recovering in the hospital after surgery, and I'm in the hallway, of course, where you're not supposed to be on the phone, having a
Right.
everything turned out
Wow.
to be fine, and my buyers are so sweet. This is why I love working with people that I know and referrals because we can bounce back out of things like this. And we got
Yeah.
in another property and they
Good.
closed on that early 2020 and they're still there
Yeah.
today. So,
So the moral of that story, and I'm glad that I mean not I'm sad that it happened to you, but it
mhm,
just reiterates the importance, and I'm telling agents all the time how important it is. As soon as you get a listing, you have your listing agreement signed, you hand them the statement
yeah,
of information. If you
yes.
would have known about that early on in the
Yeah.
transaction, you never would have been so, far down that rabbit hole, right?
Yeah. They wouldn't have lost maybe $1,000 on inspections. I mean, they did
Right.
roof and sewer and the home inspection and everything, not
Yeah.
recouped.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
important to get that statement of information early. Do it
now I
early.
always ask. I always ask, is SI has the SI been cleared?
Yep. Yeah. And
You
it's
live and learn.
not typically something that, you as a buyer's agent would even worry about, or,
Right.
but you do now because you have a real life
Mm,
story of how that impacted your transaction. And the
I,
statement of information is for the buyer and the seller. That buyer could have, even though they're not a owner of anything,
child
they
support.
could, yep,
Hmm.
IRS tax liens follow you
Yes.
wherever you go. Like you said, child support liens
Hmm.
follow you wherever you go. So it's not just to protect the buyer coming in, it's to check the buyers also, and not
Hmm.
just, for the seller, it's for the buyer too, because
Yeah,
everybody has passed. So we need to make sure that everybody's being checked.
absolutely. And I
Mhm.
will say that that was not Chicago title that
Yeah.
didn't catch it early. Of
Yeah.
course.
Of course
We
not.
won't mention who. All right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. And thank you so much.
Thanks,
And
Jamie.
we'll wrap it up and we'll talk to you very soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. 3, 2, 1. Dooba-dooba-doo-doo-doo. Okay, we did it. Let's see.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna